Having won 2 consecutive titles with the Renault race team in seasons 2005 and 2006, Fernando Alonso was already becoming a championship-winning caliber driver at a young age. Both seasons saw him win 7 races apiece, outlasting second-place finishers Kimi Raikkonen in 2005, as well as the GOAT himself, Michael Schumacher, in 2006. Alonso's quick pace caught the eye of Ron Dennis, owner of the McLaren race team, who had offered him a 3-year contract in late 2005. After signing the contract, Alonso was eager to inform his Renault boss, Flavio Briatore, about switching teams, but couldn't do so due to scheduling conflict. Before the 2006 running of the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim, Alonso felt dissatisfied with the relationship he had with Briatore. His contract with Renault, however, was due to expire at the end of the year. When it did, it was off to the historic McLaren race team at last, having to pilot the MP4 22 race car chassis with one of the most beautiful and recognizable paint schemes in Formula One history. His teammate was a young 22-year-old by the name of Lewis Hamilton, who came out fresh, winning the GP2 championship in just his rookie season. With 2 young talents already scoring championships to their name, Dennis looked to have the perfect pairing to become unstoppable come race 1 in Melbourne, and this is where it all begins. The Australian Grand Prix was a good clean start for both of the McLaren drivers. Alonso started and finished the day in second, and his young teammate Lewis Hamilton, despite making a slight mistake in the beginning stages, recovers to wrap up third, which would be the first of many more podiums to come for the young rising superstar. Hamilton found himself battling and defending position with the Ferraris in Malaysia, which gave Alonso an advantage. The Spaniard increased the gap, led 52 laps, and won the race, despite a radio malfunction. His first win of 2007, and his first with the McLaren Mercedes team. His teammate Lewis finished second, making it a McLaren 1-2. Then in Bahrain, where Alonso had won in the last 2 seasons, he wheeled his car to a 5th place finish after qualifying on the grid 4th. His home Grand Prix in Barcelona was tough, especially at the start, almost getting taken out by Felipe Massa on the first lap on the first turn. Despite this, he recovered to score the last podium spot in 3rd. Monaco is where things took a controversial turn, at least in my book. He and Hamilton were both pushing hard for that crown jewel victory at the Principality. In fact, some would think they were racing as rivals. When Alonso made his first pit stop, Hamilton saw his chance to take the lead and put the pedal to the metal. However, as soon as Hamilton took control of the lead, the McLaren team called him in for his stop earlier than scheduled. Alonso was back in the lead shortly after. At one point, Ron Dennis told them both to settle down and pace themselves to prevent a crash into the barriers or into each other. This meant it ordered Hamilton to back off and let Alonso claim the checkers, which meant Alonso and Hamilton left Monte Carlo tied in the points with 38. This would change going into Canada. With Hamilton's dominance, scoring pole position, leading the most laps, and winning the race, he was back on point leading the championship standings, increasing the points from 38 to 48. As for Fernando Alonso, he was able to salvage 7th, scoring 2 points, which meant he now had a total of 40, down by 8 points. The final Indianapolis Grand Prix saw Hamilton score back-to-back wins, and his first at the Brickyard. His teammate Alonso settled for second. Despite another 7th place finish after a rough race in Manicours, Alonso had one of the fastest cars alongside Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen at Silverstone, leading 20 laps, finishing runner-up to Raikkonen at the end of the British Grand Prix. Nürburgring, where a wet and challenging European Grand Prix was located, sparked controversy between Alonso and Felipe Massa. Around lap 14, Massa retook the lead from David Coulthard and didn't look back from that point. When Alonso closed in, this is where the controversy comes into play. In the closing stages, as Massa tried to close the door on the hard-charging Fernando, the Spaniard went to the high side and made the pass stick, but once he made the pass for the lead, the two drivers made a little contact. Alonso still held on and claimed the victory, while Massa finished behind him in P2. However, despite winning the race, Alonso wasn't pleased with the damage he received on the left side of his car after the contact. He showed that kind of displeasure to Massa in the cool-down room area, to the Brazilian's angry reaction. At least they were both closing in on Hamilton, since he had one of the toughest race weekends, including a scary wreck into the tire barriers at the Schumacher S-curve during one of the qualifying sessions, which is a story for I'm hoping for a full season review of the 2007 season. We now shift gears to the Hungaroring, where once again, controversy looms in the air. The final portions of qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix saw even more displeasure from Fernando Alonso due to Hamilton not letting him pass to secure a much quicker quick time. With 2 minutes remaining in the session, Alonso went into his pit for some fresh slicks. The McLaren team held him for 20 seconds to avoid traffic. When Hamilton came into the pits, the lollipop was raised up for Alonso to clear the way, but instead of merging back onto the track, Alonso stayed in the box for an additional 10 seconds. You could say he got back at Hamilton not letting him pass into the box. As a result of this, Alonso secured pole position and Hamilton secured second. At least that's how it was at first, until further investigation on Alonso's actions resulted in a grid penalty, starting 6th. When race day arrived, Alonso's plan was simple: beat Lewis Hamilton, period. The only problem, though?
An absolutely stunning drive, a steely drive. Lewis Hamilton wins!
Hamilton's win increased the gap in the standings from 2 points to 7, ahead of Alonso, who wound up finishing 4th. Turkey was 3rd behind the Ferraris, following up with dominance at Italy, rallying his number 1 MP422 to the top spot of the podium, winning for the 4th time in 2007. The win in Monza gave Alonso 10 points in the championship standings, to which he still had to make up ground with only 4 races to go, still trailing behind Lewis Hamilton by 3 points. Spa-Francorchamps was another 3rd place run, which was good for the flying Fernando considering he's now 2 points behind. However, he also had to double check his rearview mirror because Kimi Raikkonen, who won the race in Spa-Francorchamps, was closing in on the McLaren duo. Rainy and damp conditions in Fuji rained hard on the Alonso party parade, following a crash in the mid-stages. Worst of all, his teammate, or at this point his rival, I should say, Lewis Hamilton survived the unbearable conditions to nab win number 4 in his rookie year, increasing the points gap to 12. Shanghai was a miracle for Alonso. Once Hamilton made a mistake entering the pits, sliding and getting stuck in the wet gravel, he saw his chance to pounce in both the race and the championship standings. Satisfied with second, now 4 points behind, it was now off to Brazil, where the champion will be decided. Hoping to claim 3 consecutive world titles, he had to finish first or ahead of Kimi Raikkonen and obviously Lewis Hamilton. Starting the Grand Prix finale from 4th, he already made gains from the very start, passing Lewis and closing in on the 2 Ferraris. Once again, a miraculous moment saw Alonso this time take control of the points lead.
It's looking good at the moment. But no, he's slowing. Impossible. That's 4 places lost already. How can this be happening? It's the worst possible time for a gearbox issue.
His teammates' day went from bad to worse, as Hamilton's gearbox shut off without warning. With Lewis Hamilton now out of the equation, it was all up to Alonso to bring one home for the team. However, the Ferrari camp also had a chance to claim the driver's title with Kimi Raikkonen, considering he too was also in position to win the championship. At the end of the day, most of the smiles and celebrations were at Team Ferrari, when Raikkonen stood on the top step of the podium, 2007 World Champion. Alonso, as well as Lewis Hamilton, came up short by just 1 point.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Kimi, and I think, as I said many times, who has more points at the last race, he deserved the championship. So in this case, I think Kimi did a great championship, as he said, up and down for everybody. But now in the last day, he deserved it. So congratulate to him. And the race itself, I knew that it was to be very difficult, and not only because I had to take 4 points or 5 to Luis, also because with a problem for Luis in the race, I knew that the Ferrari can do 1 and 2, and that was not enough for me. So I tried at the start. I had a good start, and I managed to be third. And then, as you said, impossible to keep the pace with the Ferrari. So I was waiting for something wrong for them.
The entire McLaren team were happy for Kimi, but at the same time, deep down, maybe, just maybe, had Raikkonen finished second or behind Fernando, the atmosphere at the organization could have been a completely different story. In Fernando Alonso's case, he was close, but not close enough to claim that 3rd consecutive world title. And it makes many wonder, what if he didn't get in his own way in Hungary? What if he didn't crash out in Fuji? What if, in 2007, Fernando Alonso captured his missing ring?